Using. And we're back. I'm super excited. Hello, 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 everyone. So, welcome back to another masterclass hosted by Seven Ways to Wealth. I'm your host, Christina Yvette. So, we have a phenomenal masterclass for you guys today. Today, we are going to be talking about wealthy mindset, you guys. So I know that everyone in the room is a wealthy trustee, and you guys want to know how to get into that right alignment with wealth and get your mindset in order to build the wealth that you guys that God actually has for you. So I have a wonderful guest speaker for you today. Her name is Jenna Loren. So she is amongst us in the community. She's one of us. Yay. So
Right.
Jenna is a alignment and identity coach. She is a consciousness alchemist and an emotional scientist, you guys. Can you guys like give it up for her? That is a phenomenal, phenomenal track record. So she helps people who are soul led in order to accelerate their wealth consciousness and choose an aligned relationship with money. And that's what you guys are here for, okay? So you guys are here to build wealth for your trust, to leave a legacy, but it all starts with mindset. And so I'm so glad that Jenna decided to come in and educate us on what that looks like today, okay? Because that's the first step, right? A lot of us, we've built our foundation with the trust, but now we need to connect it with the mindset piece so that we can actually get there. So thank you so, so, so much, Jenna. You have the floor.
Yay. I'm so excited to be here, guys. Oh, man. Thank you, Christina, so much for giving me this opportunity to just pour into your community. I'm a part of your community, but I just am so thrilled. So, yeah, where do we
Yes,
begin,
sir.
right? So, first and foremost, thank you so much for being here. And I know it's a choice to show up, but most importantly, not for me and not for Christina, but for yourself. Right? This is about investing in yourself. This is about elevating your level of consciousness and your level of self-awareness in order to create the things that you want to create. I am of the belief that God, universe, source, I call it Gus, God, universe, source, is within, and I therefore am the creator of my reality. And I encourage you to lean into that. If it feels right for you, then you can join me in that belief. But ultimately, when I look at what wealth is all about, it is not just a number in a bank account. Actually, it's far from it. And so, what I define wealth to be is a state of being. It's a consciousness. It's an identity. And so, in order to be wealthy and to hold wealth, right, we can get a lot of money once, and we can have a shotgun moment where we bring in some kind of large sum of money, or we build our businesses and we hustle and we get that going and we bring in money. But if we can't hold it because we don't have the identity to hold it, then is that wealthy, right? And so my definition of wealth is so much more comprehensive, and it's definitely more from what I am and who I'm being than more than a number in a bank account. And that's what I want to kind of invite you to learn tonight, today, wherever you are in the world. And we're going to dive into what I wanted to share with you tonight, which is the four secrets to a wealthy consciousness and how to identify the blocks that actually keep you from that. So put a one in the chat if that sounds like a good game to play today. Is everybody on board with me? Let's make sure everybody's awake. Awake
Yes,
and ready,
yes.
right? Awesome, awesome. Lots of ones, lots of ones. Okay, perfect. So first and foremost, let me introduce, a little bit more. She did the official bio, but a little story about me is I've been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years. I came from the corporate world and jumped into entrepreneurship many, many years ago. And I've had my ebbs and flows and ups and downs as far as, business goes. But when I started learning about, I actually heard the word trust and irrevocable trust. Let me just give Christina props because there's a whole bunch of revocable trust teachers out there. Nothing wrong with that. But I heard irrevocable trust and then I understood what the benefit of that in, I think, 3 years ago. And I had, someone there that was, willing to teach that, but I wasn't ready. And so coming through, it's like, all right, I got the entrepreneurship. I'm building. I have children. They're adults now, but I have children. And at the time, I had a husband. I'm currently uncoupled as of a year and a half ago. And so 3 years ago, I was in this family unit, and I wanted to actually protect my wealth. I wanted to build wealth. I wanted to be the wealth identity that I knew was possible. And so I was starting to attract these conversations about how the wealthy did it. And we'll use wealthy as those, yes, that presumably have a lot of money and the one percenters out there. But I think ultimately it's those that understand how to attract truth, alignment, and then the money will follow. The money's just a byproduct, right? It's just energy. And so 3 years ago, I wasn't quite ready to step into it, but I heard it. I was like, what is that? Right? And then sure enough, this year I was ready. And here I am in Christina's environment and container and with all of you guys. So not only am I a student, but today I'll take the teacher hat for a moment, right? So ultimately, I want to say this only until probably the last 2 or 3 years, especially as I started cracking open some of these newer conversations around legacy and trusts and wealth creation and all of that, is that I lived my entire life with poverty and scarcity mentality. And it may not look like that, but it was, and it can be, and it looks very different for everyone. And it looks like sometimes for me, like I'm the hustler that I want to overcome that poverty and scarcity mentality. And so you see me working hard and making money happen in my business and all of that, but I'm still living with the poverty and the scarcity identity. And that again is one of those secrets, right? This is a bonus one, is what keeps you actually from being the wealthy consciousness, being the abundant consciousness, right? And so I had a lot of work to do on figuring out what are the blocks, what's going on for me that's hiding that part of me, like Christina said, that God already said we're abundant and whole and complete and have everything. We are infinite beings, and that is my belief as well, is that we are born abundant and infinite. We layer the programs, the conditioning, the beliefs, the disempowering ones, the limiting ones, on top of the truth that we already are. So I'll tell you, my job in all of these years, as I started to move into transformational work, mindset, identity, alignment, emotional mastery, is that it's about peeling off everything that you are not and returning to the thing that you actually are. And that is my like mission on the planet, is to get us all going back to return to sender, right? Return to where we came from, which was the infinite being, the infinite source of all things, the creator and the programmer of our life. And so I spent many, many years. I had a lot of hardship and trials and tribulations as a child, from a divorced parents to domestic violence and hardships in that manner, to evictions and, moving in through a poverty system, like literally living, couch to couch and house to house and not knowing if I'm going to be evicted or not, and that was pretty scary as a child. I even had to move out at 14 by myself to get away from from the abuse in the household and the toxic environment, and then figure out how to pay for things in that sense, right? And so I always knew that there was a better way, but I had to hustle in order to overcome my scarcity mentality. So I just want you to know, if anybody can relate to that, can you put a 2 in the chat? Like, yes, I get you, I understand. Anybody been there? I don't think I'm alone, but okay, very good. Thank you. You know, so we are just in this human experience. We're on a journey, and this is your time. This choice that you made to be here tonight. Hopefully, my intention is that you get to shift even just 1 degree, right? That 1 degree turns your entire life into a positive trajectory that you're desiring, right? It only takes 1 degree shift in order to end up somewhere new. So my invitation to you tonight is just try everything on that I might offer you. Everything I share is just a perspective. It's an option. It's a choice. And so I like to just say, try it on like you're walking into a fitting room and go, yeah, that resonates with me, or maybe not. But if it does, just one little nugget might be the change that you need in order to get to where you want to go. So that's my intention for tonight. So we're going to go through the 4 secrets, excuse me, and talk about what's getting in the way of you actually stepping into this new identity, or into the identity fully. And ultimately, I'll share with you another container that we can continue the journey together, and if that's a choice that you would like to make. So would it be okay to share screen? I have a
Yeah,
couple
you have capability.
questions. Okay, let me see if it'll work here. Oh, there it is. Okay, it wasn't working before. Okay, let me just share a little slide, just a couple questions to guide us through. I actually like a little more workshop versus me just telling. So let's get a couple questions going. So let me see if I can figure this out. I'm going to do the portion of the screen and shrink this. Okay, can you see just the slide instead of all my background?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. It says the Gentle and Wealthy Mindset. It has the title.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. And then I lost the chat. Hold on. I want to make sure I see the chat. Okay. So you guys can talk to me. Okay, so this is obviously intro. This is my question for you. So I kind of gave you my definition of wealth. But first, I want to actually know, what is your definition of wealth? So if you would take just a minute to identify what that is and type it in the chat. And I'm okay with like opening hands raised and like want to share out loud. I'm cool with that too. So either way is fine. But what do you define wealth as? That's the question. Freedom. I love that word. That is my mission. Lynn, can we open Lynn? Hi, Lynn.
Comfort.
Hi.
Hi, I said comfort. I define it as comfort.
Comfort. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that. Be careful driving. Yes. Motion. Oh, I'd love to know what motion means. I haven't heard that one. Liberation. Yeah, another version of freedom in my book. Peace, health, security, financial independence. Doing what I want to do. Amen. True source. Yes. Assets that can be passed to heirs. Okay. Yeah, being able to do whatever I want to do. Balanced. Yeah, I love this. Health and financial freedom, relaxation, abundance, peace. So there's a handful that may not fit in this bucket, but what I want you to know is notice about the definitions most is that it's an experience. Most of the answers are experience. It's a feeling. It's a being. It's being of peace. It's being balanced. It's being freedom. It's, right? So it's more about the experience of being wealth than it is. I'll just challenge you. You'll love me. I like challenging, stretching people more than something outside of you. Right? Because here's the thing. So I saw one where it said, hold on, let me find it. Oh, debt free. Okay. So that was one. So debt free, right? Like in essence, there's an experience underneath the debt free that is actually what you're after. And the debt free is something like you go pay off your credit cards or you go pay off the loans or whatever. And so it's kind of an external action. So what happens if debt free equals wealth and you're not debt free, are you wealthy? Do you have the experience of wealth? No, right? So what I want to pinpoint is anything that's outside of you experiencing something. Now you have a condition. And you'll hear me talk a lot about ego versus essence and ego versus source, or, like God, source, universe, right? So ego is this part of us that we started using to separate. And like I said, the layers that we're peeling back, right? The ego uses a lot of layers and a lot of protective behaviors and a lot of coping skills and things like that in order to keep us from the thing that we say we want. And it lines up a whole bunch of conditions, a whole bunch of requirements, as I call them. And if we have requirements in order to be wealthy, how will we ever get wealthy if those requirements don't line up? What if it just never happens? And I don't believe we come to this life and planet as non-wealthy. I think we actually hide it, and then we have experiences in our human journey that shows us what wealth isn't, right? So I love it's like freedom. Freedom is an experience, right? Balanced is an experience. Relaxation is experience. Abundance is experience. Now, we can certainly take that word or that definition or that expression and then immediately put a condition on it, like I can't be relaxed unless my bills are paid, right? Or I can't be relaxed unless I have $1 million in the account. So if that's the answer, if we're giving our power to the thing, to the condition, then we'll never reach wealthy. Or like I started this conversation with, we'll be wealthy, like air quote, it'll look like we're wealthy, we'll have a lot of money, etc. And then it'll go away because we can't hold the circumstance. We can hold an experience, because guess who's in charge of the experience? We are. We're the creator of the experience. We are the feeling. We are the perspective. We are the consciousness of wealth. So you defined wealth, but what's the trick is now it's about feeling the wealth now before the bank shows up, before the digits add to your account, before you have the business successful, before you have health. Right? Maybe the health isn't, all there yet, but you're working on those actions. But can you be wealthy and not healthy? Yes. Can you be healthy and not wealthy? Yes. Right? So as long as we don't have the conditions wrapped around our requirement, right, in order to be wealthy, then we can start feeling wealthy right here, right now. And that's my intention for you tonight, is like, feel it now. Because if everything's energy and we put out an energy, right, and like a signal to the universe, right, it's like, hey, I'm wealthy now. And the ego is the only one that needs evidence. The ego is the only one that needs to see the condition, see the money in the bank, see the result in order to feel that. So my encouragement is, you feel it now, you feel it first, and then it shows up. Everything gets orchestrated to that energy. That's the law of attraction, by the way. Everybody thinks like, just think positive. Well, no, there's a missing piece. We've got to feel it and we got to be it. So we're going to come into some of those secrets here in a moment. Okay, next question I have for you guys. Hold on, there was a couple I didn't read. Wisdom and knowledge. Okay. Access to the infinite light. Love it. Okay, perfect. So now I want you to ask another question of yourself. What is your biggest goal with money and wealth? What's the desire? Again, you can open up or you can just type in the chat. Yes, feeling is the secret, Corliz. I love that.
Freedom and generational wealth.
Freedom and generational wealth is your goal. Okay, perfect.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind. Man, what if we could have that without wealth? Would it still feel good? And be able to buy whatever we want. That's cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Spend time with family. Love that. Have it generational, so passed on. To assist, okay, to serve, I think is what that means. Unlimited resources, share with humanity, have a lavish lifestyle with eradicating homelessness. Go, girl. Love that. Freedom to control your experience here and now, I guess, here in time. Joy, again, another experience, right? What is your biggest goal with money and wealth, right? These are fantastic.
Walk in purpose.
Say it again.
Walk in purpose.
A walk. Yes. I was like, I think I just received what that said. Okay, very good. I love it. Walk with purpose. So be available for my son. Freedom to travel and assist, moral consciousness. Beautiful, beautiful goals. All right, so now I have the next question. What is the reason you say to yourself right now as to why you don't have it yet? No filtering, just like what's the reason that comes up? Mindset. You're in the right place then. Stopping myself, okay? Taxes. Oh, there's a condition. Ability to line up. It takes time. Say it again.
Frequency.
Frequency. Yeah, I love that one. We got to raise it up, right? Time. Say it again.
Procrastination.
I'm not sure I understand that one. Laziness. Eliminate the ego, lower vibrations. I'm with you. Procrastination. Fear. Interesting.
Procrastination.
I don't know. Christina's got something to say. What? What's she saying over there?
Right, like holding myself back.
Yes.
And procrastination, whoever said procrastination, I mean, we're here.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yep. Focus. I mean, these are beautiful. Okay, so
Knowledge.
Okay, right? We have a reason. We don't have enough knowledge. So notice, if you are already born wealthy, would you have a reason why you're not? Let that sink in. No, we already are. So there's no reason we're not, right? So what's happening, heck no, is the egoic self. And I love how beautifully like self-aware a lot of you are, right? Like you are already catching on to this is just made up. Like I'm in my own way. It's mindset. It's procrastination. It's my behavior. It's my choices. It's something like that. Now, any of you that might have put something that's external of you, again, that falls into the condition and the circumstance, something outside of you. And as soon as we give our power to something outside of us, we don't have any power anymore. We just let it go, right? So the power is in recognizing why we say we don't yet have it, because in that is your limitation. That right there is the limiting thought. And keep in mind, we're just all sitting here on a screen or in Zoom world, and I'm just asking a question. So all of these things that you typed is in your head. Doesn't mean it's real. It's in your head. Thank you for the mind blown. T. Wells. I love that, right? It's just in your mind. And so who's in charge of your mind? The circumstances, the world outside, the things going on out there, or me, us, you, right? So the egoic self is the one that always has to point outside of you. Why? Why does it do that? The egoic self is our protector. So it's not something I want you to try to get rid of. It's not something I want you to hate on. I want you to embrace it and know that you gave it its job. You did that. You gave an ego the job. And the ego is there to protect you, not only from a physical pain, but also emotional pain. So it is the part of us, the reptilian part of our frontal lobe, that says, do not touch the hot stove. I have learned that that burns. Right? It knows to physically keep you safe, but I'm going to add another layer. Emotional pain is physical. Emotional pain is physical. All emotional pain originates in our childhood, and starts with a sensation. The sensation in our body is what? Physical. And so therefore, our ego is protecting us from physical pain, which we can then say is emotional as well, right? And so it is constantly on guard. And I would say that 90% of your life is constantly on guard, looking for the danger. Oh, stay away from that. Oh, wealth, that means something else, and I can't do that, because what if I disappoint myself? What if I fail? What if I am not good enough? All of those emotional pains that we create in our childhood is what's getting activated right here, right now, with all of the thoughts that you just had. So my job is to help you completely eradicate all of those blocks and all of the ego tricks that are playing. That's my job, right? That's what I'm here for. And then you do the work, right? You do the practice. You integrate whatever is learned and brought to the surface. I always say that I like to be the kind of like the anchor that drops down to the bottom of the ocean and stirs everything up, right? The ocean is so infinite. The ocean has everything and is everything. And then I just drop the anchor, and like all the sediment starts rising to the surface. And we're like, oh gosh, what am I going to do with all this stuff, right? But that's the process. And so I want to share, first of all, and I'm going to come back to you and work with a couple people a little bit more. I have found that there are 4 things predominantly that we can work on, and there's probably many more, but I want to start with the first secret. So I'm going to stop share and just kind of speak with you. Not to you, but with you. Okay, so number 1 secret, note-taking time. Preferences, not rejection. So all of those things, let me explain what that means, is that the things that you wrote down that you say you desire in wealth, those are your preferences. It's your desire. It's what you would prefer, right? It's what you want. And I want you to look to see and observe and identify, how many times do you see other people have the thing that you want? Give me a 3 if you can identify, I know somebody that has what I want. I can see it. I can see it on social. I can see it down next to my neighbor, right? Okay, so you're looking outside of you and observing the thing that you want. And you've got identified your preference, which all of life is about preferences. It's like we get to choose what we want in life. What I want may be different than somebody else. That's called preference. Totally fine. But there's this part of you that then looks at the people out there that have it, and you judge it. You reject it. You go, oh yeah, well, that's good for them. They can do it, but I can't. Oh, well, yeah, of course, it's easy for them. They've got $1 million, in the bank. Or they have freedom because they have all this money, right? Whatever it is, that there's this perception. We don't probably even know the truth of their situation, but we're perceiving them, looking over there and rejecting the exact thing that we want. And so preference, not rejection, is a concept that I practice a lot of. Is that when I walk down, by the way, I live in LA. I'm actually nomadic. I didn't even tell you guys that. I moved out of my townhouse in Redondo Beach, California, like February of last year, and started just living in Airbnbs 1 month at a time all over the country. And then I made it back to California because I really like the weather here. I was like, I don't think I want to be in Phoenix in the summer, or Texas, which is where I'm from. So anyway, my point is that I live in a neighborhood where I walk every day in Manhattan Beach, and every house on the Strand is 10 million or more. No, I don't have a $10 million house. But I desire. So when I'm walking down the path, I can look at every house and I can control my thoughts. I can say, wow, that's really great for them. I wish I had one. I don't even know. I'm like, what do they do to make that happen? Like, I can't even imagine. How would I ever get there? Like $10 million house? My mind's blown. Okay, so I can walk in that energy of reject the thing that I am observing, or I can flip it to source consciousness, to abundant wealth consciousness, and say, wow, I can choose that too. I just saw it. If it's possible for them, it's possible for me. Everything is possible that I observe, that I choose, that I imagine. So every idea, and like you can try to find a place where this isn't true. Every single idea, every creation, every iPhone, the Amazon, like the programs we create, everything is created by starting with the mind. Like you have to imagine something and then go into action to create it physically. So it starts as, I call it like source, right? There's three parts of us: source, intellect, and then physical 3D realm, body. So it's kind of like, mind, body, spirit, but not in that order, right? So everything comes in as an inspired thought. Like, ooh, wouldn't it be nice to create a light bulb? I don't think a light bulb existed when it didn't exist. It was an idea, right? So if we are creators, then if I'm walking down the path of the Strand, I think somebody knows where I am. I know that area well, right? I love this area. Is that I'm surrounded by wealth, the manifestation of it. But I'm creating it. I'm observing it. It only exists because I observe it. Like reality it's not real until you observe it. So another point about that is I curate intentionally my social media. I don't pay a lot of attention to the world that's falling apart, not because I don't care, but because it's feeding my algorithm of consciousness. And so I choose, what do I see? What do I observe? Therefore, what do I feed? If I'm feeding my ego, I get more ego. I get more procrastination. I get more fear. I get more anger. I get more all of that. Or I fear possibility. Observe possibility. I create unlimited, unstoppable, right? Unbelievable, beautiful life. And my life is so good, regardless of the outside circumstances. That's a choice. Okay? So preference is not rejection, is how we want to practice living into the wealth consciousness. Every time you see something like a Lambo, or, because we all know just instinctively, like, oh, that has a high price point, and all it is the value of that exchange, right? Is like whatever the price is, I don't even know, like lots of zeros. And so somebody made a decision that that's the value of the exchange in order to have that item, that manifestation. And so money is simply an appreciation exchange. At any given moment, we're just exchanging our dollars, which is a symbol, which is also an energy that says, I want that for this exchange. Thank you. But the moment we keep rejecting what we want, and when we see it out there in the world, we are completely blocking it from our reality and our ownership. So every time, anytime, now it's the new you. Now we're going to go out in the world and celebrate everyone and everything that exists, that represents the thing that you want and the thing that you desire. Celebrate it and bring it in. Say, I am open to receive that. I am open to receive that. Thank you very much. Hallelujah. Right? So you call in things by opening yourself up to them, not judging it, not rejecting it, not hating on it, not limiting you, because your thought was potentially like, oh, well, how I can't do that. I can't have that 10 million because I don't have enough money in the bank and I don't have a big enough business and like, again, back to the beginning, all the limitations, all of the reasons you keep giving yourself, take all those off. You can eliminate reasons just as much as you can pour in celebration. It's just a matter of thinking straight, right? And this is what I call like getting your shift straight. This is my tagline, right? We want to get your shift straight so that when you are walking on this earth, you are in the presence of who you already are, which is the wealth consciousness, the infinite being, the source of everything. Okay. Number one, that was number one. Number two is prominent thought and emotion. That's the secret. So number one, I was leading into it already, is the prominent thought and emotion that you carry around on a daily basis. So let's just say I had a pretty prominent thought for many, many years that I'm broke and I don't have enough money and I don't have enough money and I don't have enough money. And it perpetuated, right? If you find yourself complaining about things, if you find yourself confirming what you don't have, you're going to continue to have that. So the prominent thought needs to be, oh, all right, I want, it's kind of like I want this or something better. That's one way I detach from my desires, is I want this or something better. How does that feel, right? So let's see, one of you guys said, trying to recall what you want. Like even freedom, right? That's one of mine. Peace, right? So I'm just trying to read some of them again. All of these things that you want or something better. What if there's something better than freedom? I don't know. What if something's better than peace even? I don't know. Maybe I haven't got there yet. But the moment you're like, I'll have that or something better, then why does it matter what you land on, right? It's all available at that point. So identifying the prominent thought that you have. So you have a desire and you just told me the reason why you don't have it. So put in the chat what you predominantly think and what are the constant thoughts, like what's, at least identify one. You can write your book later, but what is the one thought that is keeping you in the same situation that you're in, the same reality, the same stuckness, right? Like what is that predominant thought? And this sometimes takes a little work to kind of uncover because it's so autopilot. It's like it's always happening, so it's just like, oh, that's normal. Right? Let's see. Oh, taking care of others first. Fear. King Howard, fear. What are you afraid of? Tori, overthinking. Let alone, right? Like just overthinking.
Chaos is mine.
What is it? Say it again. Lynn?
Chaos.
Chaos? You said chaos?
Chaotic. There's no organization. There's no, yes.
Okay. So chaos is what you're experiencing. What is your thought that leads to the chaos? I'm scattered. I'm
not putting myself.
What'd you say?
Lack of confidence. Lack of confidence.
Lack of confidence. That's a good one. Lynn, what'd you say? What's the thought that makes the chaos?
Not putting myself first.
Okay, so you're letting other people's agendas
too self-sacrificing. Yes.
Okay. And so when somebody says, hey, Lynn, can you help me with this? And you give up what you're doing, what's the thought?
That's more important.
Oh, very good. So notice because I keep driving you back to the thought, not the result of right. So you're thinking I'm not that important. So everybody else is more important than I got to take care of them first. And then it turns into chaotic energy because you're not in alignment. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is it's actually a very pinnacle part of my work, is that most things kind of drill down to self-abandonment. We either self-abandon ourselves to the ego, right? That's self-abandonment. Or we give ourselves to everybody else's agenda, or let everybody else determine my feelings for the day. Let the news manage our feelings. We keep abandoning ourselves and giving it the power to something else. So Lynn, while you're here, if you were to say no, what would happen? Like if somebody's asking you to do something and you don't want to do it, or you need to prioritize you, what would happen?
I would feel better.
You would feel better.
Yes,
Okay.
I would feel better.
Okay. And so so why do you think you don't do it if that's the result?
Programming. I grew up in a very matriarchal family, and I was supposed to actually sacrifice my life for my mother.
Yeah, got it.
So, I just programming more than anything.
Yeah. Old stories, old programs. I love that you call it programming. I always look at it like we're just a computer operating system, right? We plugged in some programs and we need to upgrade the program.
Right.
The RAM is wearing itself out.
Right.
The chaos is your RAM screaming at you going, there's not enough memory. I can't handle this. I can't scream, hello, hello.
Right.
RAM and processing power.
Exactly. The processing power, the RAM. Yep.
Mhm.
We need to upgrade the system. Like how many, like I have a Max, right? So I'm like, how many versions of the operating system are we at now? What number? Like, but
Right.
here's the thing, we're at probably number 20 or something on like upgrade, just to I don't even know the latest one. Like they have these cute and creative names, but we're not necessarily upgrading our programming. We are literally still holding on to some childhood programming, and it's time to adult.
Right.
We are not the child. I don't think anybody's under 18 here. We are not the child anymore, yet we are still holding on to the identity somewhere in us because there's a pain point that we have not cleared the energy around.
Mhm.
So that's actually step 4 of my framework, is that emotional release part, like letting go of the program and not being, because on the other side of that, the ego's kind of freaking out, like, oh my gosh, who am I without that program? Like, who am I, Lynn, without the program that I've been living with my entire life? And I just want to go make life easy and not chaotic. But who am I without it?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Familiarity.
Yes, familiarity. Exactly. You fall right back into the program. And that's what's interesting. The ego loves to validate. Notice a computer program. My dad was a software programmer. So I get this one where, like he has to validate the program and the software, whatever direction he gave. And that's what the ego does. It has to continue to validate the program. And so it's going to continue to send you the circumstances that says, oh, here it goes again. I just sacrificed myself today. I'm completely chaotic and losing my mind. And yeah, because the program is getting validated. It's not emotional. It's not about, I mean, sure, it's hiding the emotional pain, but it's just doing its job of validating the program so that you can stay in predictability, in familiarization, and control. Right? Okay, very good. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks for sharing that. So no more self-compromise, Lynn.
Okay.
You want to be a wealthy self? Like, this is all part of it. If you want to be wealthy consciousness, let go of the self-abandonment.
Yes.
I know a lot of people are like, that doesn't compute. I'm like, oh, it has everything to do with it. I promise. I lived it. Kind of what led to the divorce.
Right.
What is Christina saying?
Mine too.
I said me too.
Oh, me too.
I lived it. Me too. Yes, I was neglecting myself. Like I was married for 6 years, 3 children, and I was always last.
Yes.
And so I wasn't able to become who I needed to be.
Yeah.
And the minute that I walked out of the marriage and decided to put myself first and understood that my children are there temporarily and
Right.
I have to put myself first, is when I became who I'm supposed to be.
Yes.
Facts.
Beautiful. Yay. Beautiful.
Bam.
Right? Oh, thanks, Michelle. Masterclass hits different. Awesome. Awesome. Promise I'll ask you takeaways later. Yes, I choose me now. Sorry, D. Palmer. I don't know your first name. What were you saying?
I was just agreeing with Christina. I was giving her a stamp and I said approved.
Yeah,
I agree.
approved. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I love your
I
logo there.
love that in the chat. I choose me. I'm like, yes, me too. I choose me too.
Choose me.
That's
Yeah.
my brand logo. I'm in I teach about energy and health and wellness and things of that nature. So this
You're
all
my
aligns
guy.
with what I deal with.
Yes, you're my guy. I love it.
I knew it.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so that's number 2, right? We did preferences, not rejection of the things you desire, right? Prominent thought and emotion. And the third one is conviction of knowing. This is beyond belief. So what I mean by this is that for many years, I mean, and especially in the mindset and the personal development world, it's like change your beliefs, change your beliefs, change your beliefs. Yes. I mean, that's what we've been talking to, right? Is like your perspective, your thoughts, your beliefs, and therefore, the emotions that wrap around those beliefs and thoughts. But the conviction of the knowing is actually what draws the manifestation of your desire to us, to you. And so when I say conviction of knowing, it's going beyond believing, because beliefs are editable. Good news, right? This is a positive. You can edit the beliefs. Anything you think you believe right now, you can edit. You can just change it. And then when you move it to a level of conviction of knowing is, I know this is done. I know I'm wealthy. And there's no explanation. There's no justification. There's no how and when and where. There's just a knowing, right? It's like, tell me a belief and that you have that's actually a knowing. Like, I know I am this. I know I am confident. I know I'm this. Whatever that knowing is, this is where we have to bring our new beliefs to in order to attract the desire. Right? So think of, like, what do I just know to be true? And even
I know I'm a healer.
Say it again.
I know I'm a healer.
Yes.
I know that's a gift,
in my version.
a gift, right? A gift that God gave me.
Yeah.
Right. And I know it. I mean, like it's me. It's who I am.
Yeah. No question.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's so like it's just who you are. It's your identity. So what happens is we come into this world and we start to present our egoic, I call it a fishbowl identity, because imagine a fishbowl, right? We don't know that we exist in this glass realm. And what's happening when we're pushing up against a new identity and we're shifting into something that requires us to be more, to be a different level of our identity, then it's kind of like like we kind of knock up against the glass wall. It's not the glass ceiling, but the glass wall of the fishbowl. And we have to break that down by number one, identifying it. Like, how do I see, like, what's underneath that? And then being able to move ourselves through the process of identity shifting, right? So we want to shift our identities, and there's a process to that. There's even a grieving process a lot of times, because our ego death, right? We grieve the who we were in order to who we want to become. And so knowing who we are and coming into the knowing of our new belief is how we actually draw it to us. So I know, like I know, like I know. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love Lisa Nichols. I met her about 10 years ago. Yeah, she's amazing. So this part really got me when, so last year through my nomadic experience, I left with a carload. I packed a storage unit. I have my carload, and I have my little 5-pound dog that's over here sleeping. He's 17 now. And I did not have a plan. Now, let me just tell you, I've been a planner my whole life. I needed to know where I was going and what I was doing and where, comfortable. Like the more I have certainty, and certainty and conviction of knowing are kind of two different realms, just definition wise in my book. But so last year I really, really leaned in to a new identity of trust Gus. I even got the tattoo. Trust Gus. God, universe, source. I stuck it on there and I was like, if I don't surrender my egoic self to the Gus in me, right? He's got it. Like he is supporting me all the way down the road. I call it like flowing down the river. And so last year I committed to 1 month decisions at a time, and not always 1 month ahead, but I would stay in an Airbnb or home or whatever for 1 month. And then I would listen for Gus to tell me what's next. And I've been doing that all the way till today. I haven't quit. And it has taught me a couple things. One is the law of impermanence, meaning everything changes. Walk by faith, but not sight, 100%. And when you really take that on and you're sitting at the edge of the month and you're like, I need to leave in 4 days. Where am I going to go next? Right? So every single time I had to regulate my nervous system that said, I need to know the answer. I need to know where I'm going. Instead, I leaned into the adventure of the not knowing. And I proceeded, not only the first couple months I paid for, I was like, I'll buy me an Airbnb, right? By the the first month, at the end of the month, I all of a sudden had a friend call me out, like hadn't talked in a year. She calls me and she's like, I'm getting a divorce too. I've known her since I was 19. So we've been friends forever. And she's like, I'm getting a divorce. Oh my gosh, I'm just going through it. And I said, well, so did I just now. I'm like, I totally get you. And I said, I'm coming to your house. She's like, you can stay with me. I said, okay. So I had June fixed. It was February. Like, where am I going to go in between? I said, okay, I'm going to look at the map. And I said, just in general, like I can, I had to go to, the only thing I had planted, like for sure, is I committed to house sitting my friend's beach house in Destin, Florida for a month while she went to Italy. I was like, okay, I'll watch your dog and your house. And it's the most gorgeous house. I was like surrounded by millions, guys, like multi-million-dollar properties, like, you know what I mean? Just like feeling into the energy of where I am. I manifested it. I don't have to own it. I don't have to have a mortgage. Who wants one anyway? I don't I just want the experience of the big house. So do you know that I stayed in a multi-million-dollar house every single place I went? And no, I didn't have to pay a mortgage for it. Half of the year, it was free. That part I didn't see coming. I just committed to like, hey, universe, I'm going to buy a place once a month. And by the 3rd month into my trip, it was free. God provides 100%. Like April, May, June, July, August, free. And I stayed at, people were inviting me into their space. So is that not wealthy or what? Right? Is that not detachment 101, right? Law of detachment. And funny enough, my methodology is called the detachment method. So full alignment to what I desire. I had the conviction of knowing that Gus would provide. I was taken care of, and the money would show up if I needed it. The place would show up if I needed it. And I followed, and I'm still following. What I'm living in right now didn't show up until 1 week before I needed to move out of my last place. And this one's free. I'm house sitting 3 minutes from the beach, 5 minutes from Manhattan Beach. It's a multi-million-dollar house. Like, it's amazing when you surrender the conditions and the hows and the whats and the beliefs that you aren't already there, and then life provides, right? Okay. Oh, I get so pumped. Like, this is what's possible for you. It's not about me. I want you to see your life and the blessings and the gifts and all of the beautiful orchestration that you already have. Gus is already orchestrating everything in your favor. The knowing I have is everything, every single thing, hardships or not, is in my favor. That is a knowing, conviction, 100%. So if it sucks, I just wait till it's over and then I say, what was that for? I don't like, sure, I feel the feelings in the moment of the hard, possibly, if there is something hard about it or challenging or scary or whatever, but I just go with it's like an ocean wave. I let the wave of emotion pass through versus stay in the struggle. So how many of you can answer or not, but how many, I just want you to think to yourself, how many of you have a pattern that says life is hard? Again, you can just respond to self if you want. And if you're brave, you'll raise it. You'll say yes.
I do. I do. I say it all the time.
Christina, we're working on that.
I do. I say it.
Life is hard, or it has to be hard.
There's nothing hard.
It doesn't have to be hard, but I say it's hard. And it's so crazy because I have the most easiest piece of cake life. It's just so ingrained in me that I still think life is hard, even though my life is easy. When I tell you easy peasy, so it's the programming. I still think that life is hard, and in my mind, it's still like I'm struggling, but I'm not. So
it's the trauma. It's the trauma.
It's the trauma response, 100%.
Yeah.
And so
I even tell my kids life is hard, hoping I'm not retarding their growth.
Yes. Very good. So we got to get aware. Even Christina, who, seemingly has, like wealth, success and things happening, but who you're being is still that it's hard. There's still something in you that wants it, like, hey, I'm more comfortable with hard than easy peasy. Right. And so I could ask the same question. How many of you like live in chaos? Like Lynn already brought it up. My life is chaotic. Oh my gosh, I'm just constantly in drama or chaos or going. And it's like exhausting, right? So all of these things, and the other one, struggle. I was on the struggle bus for most of my life. Like life was a struggle. And so my survival code, right, built off of my traumas, had me stay in that place, even though I was doing a lot, excelling a lot. I went to college at 16, blew that out of the water, straight A's. I went, had my first condo at 24, became a controller at 24 to 28, right? I did all these accomplishing things, and it's not a brag. It's an awareness that where I was doing it from was ego, survival. I was like, I got to make sure I can pay the bills.
That massive.
Right?
Think outside that box. Hey.
Is that a comment or unmuted? Okay, I'm not sure. Whatever. Okay, so I just want to like reiterate this conviction of knowing is like it's sinking into another deeper level of belief. It's that I know that I know that I know. I know that everything is in my higher good and in my favor. I know that I transform people's lives. Like, see it every day. Like I know I'm strong. I know I'm, and then I can have the ego go on and go, yeah, but you're not always feeling good enough. Like Christina, I got all this, but yeah, sometimes I make it hard. Right? We all have the duality. Life is duality. And I pretty much, in my work, I simplify things as much as I can because I want it to be understandable to the intellect, right? I think Source understands me, and I do try to speak to that consciousness, but sometimes the intellect and the body needs to hear me too, right? The physical. So, yeah. So let me read a little bit. Working to transition to a softer life mindset. Hardest things I've ever done. Yeah. Right? To be in the softness. We must know what we believe. 100%. We got to choose beliefs that actually align with the things we say we want. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, go, well, how much do I believe that? Do I fully believe it? And if we believe it, do I know it? Next level. So very good. Love that. Desmond asks, why and how do you have good or bad things happen to you? You birth them from the words you speak out loud. So speak good over yourself. Yes. So everything, I think, and we are the human is the one that labels it good or bad. Okay, we label. And so if we can neutralize a lot of our labeling, right? Like what we believe something to be, then we can start to move into a new identity and a new frame of reference and out of the trauma bond, right? The trauma is always going to pull us back into like, oh, can't be with that, right? Like I always say the ego is like a 5-year-old toddler. It's walking around running the show, right? We want to put that 5-year-old toddler in timeout and just say, I don't need you today, right? I don't need you right now. Okay, so that's the third one. Number 4, and then I want to open it for Q&A or anybody that wants to actually like get some help with one of their attachments. So the next one is attachment detachment. That is the trick. So this is where you identify the hidden behaviors, and I call those behaviors that we all express at some point called ego tricks. And I have like archetypes that kind of summarize which ones you're predominantly using and things like that. But the hidden behaviors are such things as fear, anger, disappointment, comparison, judgment, right? And control lives in there. I love the HW3. That's a big one for me. You want to know what that stands for? How, what, when, where. HW3, how, what, when, where. Every time you hear yourself going, how do I do this? How do I get there? How do I make more money? Right? You are in ego. Because guess who, tell me who is in charge of the how? Let's see. Who's in charge of the how?
You are.
Okay. How about Gus, God, universe, source? It's a new thought. We are in charge of the desire and the direction. Like I desire this, and then Gus comes in and orchestrates the how. Now, when the how presents itself, I encourage you to take action. It's like when Christina presented herself to me and she was talking irrevocable trust, I signed up. So, because I know it's one of my aligned steps towards wealth, legacy, living in a different, more sovereign lifestyle, private, right? Living in the private. And that is a desire preference of mine. It's not right or wrong. I don't make other people that are not doing trust wrong. I just recognize that that's the preference I feel aligned with. And so thank you. Most people would say me, I'm in charge of the how, but the truth is the orchestration of the how will come, like what I just shared in my how am I gonna, and where am I gonna, and when am I gonna pick a place to live next? When I was doing the nomadic, which I'm still doing, it came to me and then I chose it. It showed itself and then I answered. Okay. So I put out the intention real clearly, like send the signal. And if your ego is sending the signal, you're getting more of the ego. You're getting more of those circumstances. I have another example when I have a very different experience than my good friend when flying on an airplane. So when I travel, I have a very simple intention statement, and it works every time. Yay, Corley. I want to see the tattoo. I say, my travel is smooth as silk. That's it. Smooth as silk. And I feel it in my bones. I know it. I know it. It's a knowing. I know my travel is smooth as silk. She shows up and I traveled with her. I don't travel often with her, but the one time I did, I was like, why is all this, why is all the, like, all these things are happening to her? And I'm on the same trip. I'm like, my flight, we had to fly different, we were going to Cabo, and my flight was a different flight on part of the leg. And she's like running late and the ticket won't go in, I don't know, like all this chaos was happening. And I was like, I'm good. I'll meet you there, I guess, I'm good. And I'm just like, what is, not right or wrong, but I was just like, what is different? She's created nervousness and fear and worry and stress around traveling. And then she gets it every time. I said, do you do this? I asked her, I said, does this happen to you every time? Yeah, something always happens. I was like, interesting. Okay, not bad or wrong. And then I'm like, I'm smooth as silk. And it's okay if my plane is delayed, because that's happened. And some people would be like, well, that's not smooth as silk. I'm like, oh yeah, if there was something wrong with that plane, it sure was. I just got delayed. No big deal. So yeah, so you set the intention, and then everything gets orchestrated in your favor. So let's see what's going on here. I'm going to try because I do not like flying. Well, opportunity to look and see why not. What's the fear underneath flying? It brings me a lot of joy to get all over the country. And my next intention, why I am still choosing nomadic, is I'm going international next. I don't need to worry about how and when. Not worrying about it, but my intention is clear. Next is international, months at a time, wherever. So let's see, different frequencies, different realities, 100%. Raise your frequency. It's in the knowing, it's in the intention, it's in the predominant thought, and it's in the feeling. Raising your frequency lives in that space. So, okay. So that is the 4 secrets: preference, not rejection, prominent thought and emotion, conviction of knowing, and attachment, detachment. Our attachments to the behaviors that keep us small, the egoic tricks, right? The coping mechanisms, the trauma responses, all of those. I certainly am here to help you figure out what yours are. And then we detach from them through a process. And so those are kind of my secrets. I wanted to just first of all open up the floor, and what questions do you have, or what challenges do you want to look at? And Christina, you guide me as to time and all of that, but if we have time for a few.
This is your world. We're just in it.
You're just in it.
Yes. So go for
Welcome
it.
to my world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. Oh my God. Such good information. So thank you for setting some time aside so that we can get
100%.
some questions answered.
Okay. I love it. Delvin, I think I said it right. Feel free to unmute. Hi.
Yes, how you doing this evening?
Wonderful.
I got a question. I've heard you say raise your frequency, and I've heard other people use that. I mean, can you kind of expound upon what that actually entails? What do you mean by that?
Is it yes, so do you want to know like kind of what I define frequency, like what does it mean, or how to, or both?
Well, both, I guess.
Okay, so yeah, so for anyone maybe new to the word frequency or just kind of understanding it better, is frequency for me is just science. We are all energetic. That's hopefully everyone gets that. Like, we are energy bodies, we are energetic, everything's energy. We can go to quantum physics and identify that everything moving at different levels and speeds creates density or not. Right? So everything is energy. And so basically everything has a frequency level, including us as humans, the desk that I have in front of me, the screen that I have, right? The air, the water, like everything has different levels of frequency. Now, I don't know the hertz. I don't know the I don't know the number, but that's not important. What's important is to know that each of us and all of us and everything around us has different levels of frequency. So wealth consciousness has a certain level of frequency. And so basically, if you're operating in the egoic self, you're operating at a lower frequency that's not at that level. And so all of the work that I do is to help you kind of like peel back the layers that's hiding the part of you that's already operating at wealth frequency, but it's been slowed down by the traumas, by the behavior, by the results, the hardships, it's kind of like your ego's like, I don't want you to feel those things again. So I'm going to keep you down here and just operate at this frequency level. And I know everything you are desiring, that everything you already have is possible, right, is operating at this higher frequency. So hopefully, first of all, does that resonate to you, first of all?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Can I add to that just a little bit too?
Yeah, sure.
So just to add on, frequency, raising your frequency also depends on your diet also. So eating from natural sources also helps with your elevation of frequency and vibration. Just wanted to add.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a whole study on that as well. It's like, what are we, because the food that we put in our mouth has frequency. So if we're adding very low dense, low frequency things to our body, right, then what are we ingesting? Right. So absolutely. So whether it's the food we eat, the thoughts we think, the TV we watch, the news we watch, like, guys, everything is a frequency. So this is where I say curate your observations and choose the algorithm of your own consciousness, right? Not just Instagrams and YouTube, not their algorithm. They're controlling a very specific algorithm to suck you in and lower your frequency, guys. Like, there is definitely a frequency on this planet to try to siphon your frequency, siphon your energy. And that's a whole bigger conversation. But this is why we're moving into trust, is to come into a private, out of a public sector that's taking our energy and our labor and our taxation and our frequency at that level. So we're moving into a private conversation that's a whole nother like frequency. And to be a trustee is a new consciousness, just as wealth consciousness is. It's kind of like, it's innately who we were meant to be, but someone hid it from our awareness. By the way, there's this concept, I didn't make it up, but just so you know, there's three parts to our mind, basically, right? One is everything we know we know. Back to that knowing part, right? I know that I know that I know. There's a part that says I know what I don't know. Like, I know about rocket science, but I don't know how to do it. Like, no clue. Then there's a whole unconscious part of us and part of life that is, I don't know what I don't know. Right? And so so a lot of things are covered up. It's the sediment at the bottom of the ocean. I don't know what I don't know. And so here today, at least my job is to activate. I want to activate the parts of you that maybe you didn't know that you didn't know, and now you know something. You know something, maybe you don't know how to integrate it. Or you know that you know, and it's like, holy cow, that totally resonates. I've heard that before, right? You're moving through these different levels of awareness, and it's all just part of the process. It's just part of the journey. And we come to it in different levels and different paces. I call it the elevator of ascension, right? It's like I'm on like level 11, 10, I don't even know, but I keep rising my elevator. And some people don't come with me on that elevator, by the way. So wealth consciousness, I just need to say this because it's hitting me really quickly, is, if, especially like myself, I've lived in a life where I was holding on to scarcity and poverty consciousness. And as I raise my frequency and as I move into a wealth consciousness, some of those people that lived in the timeline of my scarcity don't know how to be with me here. And it doesn't mean I don't love them. And it doesn't mean that they're not potentially in my life, but some of them aren't in my life, and there's nothing bad or wrong. But it's like, wow, if their frequency and vibration level is down here in poverty and scarcity, and I'm rising and I'm peeling back the layers so that I can raise my frequency, they may have to go. They may have to step off because they're not on the same elevator level. The vision I always have as I'm moving to a new identity is I'm getting on the elevator by myself. It's like I'm on level 10 and I'm going to 11. It's like I got to go up a floor. Well, and then all the people that are on 10 with me in my life, family, friends, colleagues, everything, all of them on my timeline. And I'm walking on the elevator by myself, seemingly. And my ego is screaming at me to stay on the floor. Stay here. Don't go. 5-year-old toddler doesn't understand. So it doesn't want you to get on this elevator of ascension. So I bravely, courageously start to integrate regardless, because I'm committed to the desire that I have and the knowing that I am more than I am. And I know it's under there somewhere. So I'm going to peel all the layers off. Might require me walking onto that elevator without people. And maybe they'll join me. I don't know, but some have and some haven't. Or they go away for a while and all of a sudden they come back into my life. How's that? Like, anybody have that happen? I have that happen a lot. And so I get on the elevator, I shut the door, I go up to the next level. I open the door and there's all these new people. There's all these people, and some of the people that I was so afraid to leave actually did come up, and I just didn't see it. They came up with me. And then my ego's like, hello, welcome to level 11. And my ego's right there to greet me one more time. So the ego never leaves, but it thinks it's leaving. It thinks it's dying. Every time you ascend to a new level, it's going through an ego death. And that's sometimes very painful. And I am here to hold your hand all the way through it, because there is a process to go through that ego death by far. I've done it on my own, and I've done it with people, and I've always had mentors that have somehow supported me through that process. Okay, anybody else have any questions or something that you want to work through in regards to how do you undo the block to your desire that you wrote down at the beginning? If anybody wants to play, I'm here for it. It says seize iPhone. There you
Yes,
are.
I want some tips on how to put that 5-year-old ego on timeout.
Sit down. Sit down, ego. See, what's your full name? Oh, you muted again.
Christopher.
Oh, Christopher. Okay.
Yeah.
See, okay. Yes, little Christopher, right? Little Christopher needs to sit down. Okay, so first of all, step one is identifying the ego tricks that are playing. So what do you, when you get, like when you have fear going on, what's the behavior that happens? Like if you're afraid of something or you are worried about something, what do you do? What does Chris do?
My biggest issue is overthinking. I overanalyze a lot of stuff. And that's what, I know and recognize that most of it is based off of my ego. Me holding on to past thoughts and past beliefs.
Yes. Okay. So the overthinking, it's like the data processing kicks in and you're like, okay, let me pull all this data in to try to like process everything at once. And I'm assuming you might get overwhelmed by that overthinking. Yes.
Well, not so much in that aspect. It's more so holding on to old beliefs. Like I'm going through the mental change, I can see myself changing mentally, but I'm still having problems holding on to those old thoughts.
What's an old thought you're holding on to, or old belief that you want to let go of?
Really, it's mainly based around finances.
Okay.
Kind of one of those, you got to overwork yourself or work yourself to death in order to get ahead type of things.
Yeah, work hard, work to death, right?
Right. Well, most of the wealthy people in the world don't hardly work at all, or they may work a few minutes, or a month or something. So yeah.
Yeah. So to the ego. So one, very good. You've identified that the egoic self is using a tool called overthinking and holding on to a belief called I have to work hard to have it, whatever that have is. And so that is stemming from an old pattern. And so one of the things that you can look at is like, how far back does that go? When did you make that up?
I don't think it was something that I made up as much as it was something that just was passed down to me.
Okay. So who passed it up? Like a parent?
Yeah. Family, parents.
So very good. So what I'm going to offer, one of the key aspects of letting go of because you're asking, how do I let go of the ego, or should I put it in timeout, is you start by taking radical ownership. And what that means is you chose to adopt unknowingly. I'm not saying you knew better because you were a child. Unknowingly, you sponged and absorbed and took on and then said yes in a very probably split second. Right? Way back when, that said, oh, that must be true. I must have to work hard to have it. So radical ownership is not leaving it to what just so I'm just going to go for it with you, is you left it to the parents. Oh, I didn't make it up, but my parents gave it to me. That is your ego's way of keeping you exactly where you are. The moment you deny your part in it, you allow the ego to maintain its position. So the beautiful part of this is your power returns the moment that are you still there? It may just be, my screen split. So I think it's just because you're not talking. So it's like, what happened? Chris, you're still there. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. So my point is that the moment that you identify the ego trick, which is at this point, and the belief that the ego is using, is that you start to take radical ownership that says, I'm the one that said yes to that. Even if you were 4 years old, you took it on. Your mind, your processor said, yep, that's true. And so from that place, now we can do the work, right? That's the beginning. And so I want you to also look to see where the emotional energy is in your body. And so what I mean by that is, what was painful about watching your parents work so hard? What experience did you not want to have about that?
That's a good point because
go ahead.
That's a good point because I noticed with them working, they didn't make the correlation between them working so hard, not realizing that it wasn't going to pay off. No,
they were just doing
right. They didn't look at it that way. They just kind of more or less looked at it as something they just had to do in order to survive.
Sure, survival. Got
That's the part that really
what did little Chris have to experience though? What was uncomfortable for Chris?
I wasn't getting quality time with them like I would have, or when they were there, it was like they weren't really there because they were tired, you know what I mean? Or, yeah, it was kind of one of those. Not saying that they weren't good parents. It's just, as I look at it now and understand it, I can see why it was that way. Why the relationship may have been that way.
Yeah, so your adult intellect can look back and understand why they weren't
right
for you, but your child is not. Your child that's still holding on, it's still, little Chris is still here and doesn't want to be neglected, doesn't want to be left behind, doesn't want to be alone, doesn't want to feel that again.
And that's what, so you're saying basically that's where a lot of that's where the feelings are stemming from. That's as far as the ego. That's what's actually.
That's why the ego's playing. The ego trick, the coping behavior is not the source.
Right.
So, but seeing the ego behavior is how we back into the source and uncover what's actually going on. So your ego will keep you safe even in the answers. Sometimes, like this, just as for information for everyone, it's like walking yourself backwards and going, oh, well, that's why that, I saw my parents work really hard and they gave me that belief. And, and so your ego is going to constantly do as much as it can to keep the responsibility and the ownership off of you. Because if Chris is the one that's responsible for believing that hard is required, then what do you also have to believe? Is that you're alone, that you're neglected, that you don't get love.
Got it. Thank you.
Can I get?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you feel that in your body?
It kind of takes me back, and it makes me comprehend it a lot more, and it'll help me, like you say, once I have those feelings, to own them. You know what I mean?
Feel them and own them, not shove them.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and not
your ego shoving them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So right now, working hard is how you try to be love.
Yeah.
And I can see you're doing it for kids too.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So what if you can start to love yourself and love the little Chris that just didn't get it? Maybe it just didn't feel like it got enough. And start to live as like fathering and mothering yourself. So as an adult, we get to choose to love ourselves like we think we wanted from our parents, because we kept, again, how quickly as a child the ego comes in and wants to look outside of us for the thing that we want that we should be giving to ourselves. And so a child is like, give me love, give me love, give me love, when we are love and we are complete as soon as well as we are, right? We don't need it from outside, but the child's never going to comprehend that. So much of our pain is in the power that we gave away to the parents and the circumstances outside of us. And a parent is just a circumstance, right? Meaning some of us didn't even have them, or the parent went away, or we were adopted, or like, I mean, there's a million different things, right? So circumstances. So if we keep giving the power to the circumstance, we never heal. I mean, my dad left at 8. I made all kinds of things mean. I was not wanted. I'm not good enough. He doesn't choose me. And then the big one that I've just like for the last 4 years have been unpacking is that I'm responsible for my mom and I'm responsible for everything around me because my dad leaves. The man leaves. And just so you guys know, I also made up that a man can never take care of me because I can't trust him to stay. That one rocked. So although I had a 22-year marriage, 22 years, and I still love Alex, like it's still good. We're friends. But I know my pattern did not allow us to thrive as much as I wanted us to because I couldn't let him take care of me because of that old story. I couldn't let the provider in because I wasn't provided for as a child. It got ripped away. So I can be in that story and I can stay in the hardship of that childhood, or I can own that I just made it all up. I had the circumstances, like after divorce, my mom chose a boyfriend that was domestic violence 101 for 5 years. I lived in like physical and drug and alcohol abuse for 5 years. And little Jenna was like, how the hell do I get out of here? But in the same time, I'm afraid, living in fear and survival. And so, yeah, I took an action. Okay, you can call me brave, but I was just preserving myself by moving out at 14. Still not provided for, still not seemingly taken care of. So even though I started taking care of myself really early, and many of you might have a similar story of just like I took on a lot of like responsibility early on in my life. I grew up fast, whatever that is. But what happens is we left the child behind. We left the little girl or the little boy to just like sit there in the feelings that we just never got resolved. We didn't feel into I'm neglected. We didn't feel into I'm not getting taken care of by my parents that I thought were supposed to take care of me. Like, so we have to adult now and love the little child that wants to be seen and heard. And Chris, if you're still there, it's I love me and I don't need anymore. I don't need it. Doesn't mean you don't desire or, create it for yourself, but the little ego, the ego is still requiring that you get love from your parents. And I don't even know if they're still around or where they are, but the little boy that's running your overthinking and your life right now is still looking for love. And so we get to like unpack that and start to align with I am the source of the love. I take ownership that I made that up. And now I align with I can give me what I needed back then. And the beautiful thing is you get to now start giving that to the children in your life. But I'm going to give you a little tip about our kiddos. They're going to start making up stuff that we would never even intend for them to make up. Like my daughter, I did not repeat the lifestyle I had as a child. And she has still made up things that I'm like, where did you get that? I have never said it to you. I have never, forgive me 1 second. Okay. My dog has started having seizures and I'm just like, he all of a sudden started having a behavior that I was unfamiliar with. So he's okay, I think. So our children they are their own individual from birth on. And as they start to assign language to things and feelings and sensations, of course, then they start to take ownership and take on the beliefs that they create. And then we turn into adults. They're going to like totally, my daughter, she's 20. And it's like, I hear every so often where it's like, well, you did this, you know, to me, you did this and it made me feel this way. And right. So there's still deflection of, it was because of me. But the truth is when we really start to take radical ownership in our children, hopefully because of our own emotional intelligence and the work that this conversation starts, is that we start to take ownership, and therefore we teach them how to take radical ownership of what they make up and what they believe to be true, and that it's not about the circumstances that caused it. It's you're the cause, the circumstances was just the effect. So, Chris, are you still with me? I just want to make sure I close the loop with you. Oh, there you are.
Yes.
I'm like looking at all the little faces. I'm like, where's everybody?
I recognize that. I've actually experienced that. So I absolutely firsthand know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Good. Okay,
and
good.
I recognize the growth in myself too, because instead of me getting upset or getting in my feelings about something that my children may have said, I just own it. Like, okay, yeah, I understand you going through that because of, you know, something that you perceive that happened that may not necessarily be completely accurate, but you're here because of me. So how can I not own it?
Right.
So yeah,
Like
but
they birthed us. They had a purpose. Yeah. So you just, you know, there's a lot of forgiveness of others and compassion towards self. We've got to have a lot of compassion and forgiveness for self. And then we can, you know, certainly like pass that out and start to just take radical ownership of everything comes from us, even in childhood. Even though in childhood we have up until 8 years old, we don't have the faculties to filter. So we're taking in and absorbing so much of that, right? So, so does that help complete the circle for you as to like where you are?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a great help.
Yeah, you're welcome. And now we get to integrate what you like. The next step for you would be to start integrating, start practicing the shift of overthinking and like calming the nervous system that has the ego do what it does, right? So, you know, it's like awareness is step one, unpacking that resistance, which we just did a little bit of. And then it's about really, truly emotionally releasing the need for any of that to be true. And then moving into truth and reframing that and moving into new actions and moving into alignment with your new version of self. So that's where you're headed. So love that. Thanks for playing. Yeah, good. Okay. I think I mean, if there's something else somebody wants to like dive into, I'm here for it. Otherwise, I know this has been a beautiful container and timeline. Let's see if anybody else in here, let's see if there's any unlearn to relearn. Absolutely. I'm allergic
to question. What's your sign?
What's my sign?
Yes.
I'm a Sagittarius.
Okay.
I knew it.
Same here.
And I have a lot of Sagittarius. I have a Virgo moon. I'm a neat freak. Oh, I think my dog just had a seizure. Sorry. He's just pacing. This is the pacing part. Anyway, so, and then I have a whole bunch of Sagittarius and all the other whatevers. Like I'm pretty heavy on the Sagittarius and a Virgo moon. So yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I have a Virgo moon too, and I'm a Cancer.
Very good, very good. Yeah, we get it, right? We get it.
Yeah.
All right. So let me share with you really quickly, just to wrap up. Let me share my screen one more time so you guys can have the link or the easy access here. Is, you know, as I kind of alluded to it, there's like a process, and you kind of saw me start to walk through it and facilitate it with Chris. Is there's a detachment method to all of the beliefs and all of the things that block us, all the blocks underneath. And you don't have to I just want you to be aware of them. You don't necessarily have to write them all down, but you can if you want, or take a screenshot. But the detachment method is my framework of how I move people through these. And we identified the attachment, which is partly like identifying the egoic tricks and what's, you know, the beliefs and the thoughts, and unpacking that resistance. What is that limiting emotional pattern that was going on, right? And then we start to we let go of the old stories without bypassing. right? So these are the first 3 steps, and then there's like 7 total. So number 4 is we rewire your nervous system for safety and receiving, which is what I just mentioned to Chris. It's like after we get aware of it, we've spent our whole life with it. So now it's like unpacking and undoing patterns and the rewiring that has us fall back into that old way of doing things. And then the truth reframe is about anchoring those new beliefs and the knowings into your identity. Then I love appreciation, right? We got to move into a space of appreciation and gratitude. And that is where you shift from that control to trust, Gus. Okay. And then finally, when you start to declare your new intentions, that's when they collapse. That's when we collapse time and we manifest things faster and faster and faster as you expand into your capacity for the overflow that's already on its way. But if you're blocking yourself, it feels like it's not coming. So those are the 7 steps. And I just wanted to share with you, actually, let's just move to this, is that if you do want additional support with this and you'd like to have these kind of like 15-minute love seats like I did with Chris, I actually just launched a beautiful container called the Collective Membership. And this is where we are going to move through those steps, right? Those 7 steps together. It comes with the course. As you can kind of see my mock-up, it has materials and tools and vibe code check, right? I have this little thing right here. It's like a vibe code emotional scale. It does come with our community as well, and a monthly coaching call with me similar to this. But we dive straight into each individual person's, desires and blocks, etc. And it's just $44 a month. And this is Christina. I put your link on this QR code. So if you want to share it in the chat, you can as well. And you can just scan the code if you want to get to the landing page. But you can pay the $44 a month, or you can do the $444 a year and get 2 months free. And I'm also offering, just on a limited basis, if you do the annual, I actually will give you a 1-hour private session with me. And we'll go to town if you wanna. So that's all I have, Christina. Let me know if there's any other questions, or I'm not looking at the chat right now. Let me open that back up. Okay, here we go. Thank you,
Yes.
Palmer.
Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome. Awesome. Oh my God, Jenna, that was so fantastic. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat anything. It kind of triggered a lot of stuff for me when you were going through it with Chris. And I was like, oh, it's so good to like do it as a group, because I felt like I was going through it too, just
Yes.
healing the 5-year-old Christina. So I mean, I've been on a healing journey for over a decade now, but it was just so fantastic. I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, because I know everyone on this call needed it, and definitely walked away with a lot. I love the 4 secrets. I wrote down notes. Did anybody else write down notes? I would like to know, okay? Because look,
What's your takeaways?
These are my notes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna review it after this, but it's fantastic. So if anyone wants to get in contact with Jenna, go ahead and click the link, and then once you get to her landing page, there's a button that says contact. And if you have any questions, you can just go ahead and reach out to her that way. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything, but I would definitely encourage everyone to get in contact with her, because your mindset is so important. And honestly, I think that that's the first step. People think the first step is making money. People think the first step is building a business. People think that no, 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 no. Like, even like someone that I follow that I really like is Tony Robbins. And like, he even stresses so much about the importance of mindset. This man makes $7 billion. I don't know if it's a month or a year. It's sick, right? It's like, right. It's like, yeah, he's up there, right? So, but
We
that's
can
not where he
celebrate for
started.
ourselves, right? It's possible.
Yes. Yes, so it's so beautiful to see that because that's not where he started, right? So
Right.
he's always like talking about mindset, and I know how important it is, and I know that you guys know how important it is, and the fact that Jenna came here and she, dedicated her precious time to teaching us those four secrets and how to make that shift, right? That is the first step. It's just for us to unlearn, right? Unlearn and relearn, for us to get rid of the programming. Somebody was talking about the breaking down TED vision, and I was like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
honestly, I don't, I don't even have one television in my home.
Good for you.
Not one.
That's impressive.
I stopped. I
Congrats.
know. I know, and I think it's unrealistic too, right? It's like, what times are you living in? I don't own one TV.
Wow.
It, I stopped watching TV when I was 18. So it's us doing little things like that, little shifts that are going to get us into our desired reality. I just I've been a little bit emotional today, but this was just the icing on the cake. Thank you so much, Jenna. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who stayed on.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you guys had input and good questions. We really appreciate you. And this recording is definitely going to be available. It's going to be in the portal for you guys. It's also on our YouTube channel. I hope everyone subscribed to our YouTube channel. Is everyone subscribed?
Yep, I am.
We live.
Of course.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And so for those of you guys, yay, thank you. What did you say? Yes?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
the guy that's extreme that comments on your posts.
Yes.
Yay! Oh my God. I know, right? I'm outrageous with it. So those of you guys who are watching on YouTube or watching the replay, we're going to have Jenna's contact information in the description box below so that you guys can get in contact with her because, like I said, this is step one. If you're building a house or a legacy or an estate, whatever it is, you got to start with the foundation, and the foundation is mindset. So thank you, Jenna. Thank you to everyone, all of our wealthy trustees that joined this evening. So
Yeah.
we will see you guys next time. What do we have next week? I think next week we have another master class. It's going to be on infinite banking with one of our educators. And then after that, we're going to bring somebody back who's going to be talking about real estate. So we have a lot of nice things for you guys planned. So you guys are gonna get a calendar very soon. We're navigating through a couple of things. I have a couple of announcements to make, but it's not going to be today. So coming soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. But with that being said, I just want to say good night. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if any of you guys was not able to get the link that's in the chat, please go ahead and send us a text message or email, and we will forward her link so that you're able to get in contact with her. Bye, everyone. Have a good
Now.
night.
Good night.
I
Have a
love
good
you
night.
guys.
Thank you, Jenna.
Night.
Thank you,
Wealthy
Christina.
mindset.
Thank you both.
Practice your
Thank you.
wealthy mindset.
Love you guys.
Yay.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Love you guys. Thank
Love you
you.
too, sis.
Love
Thank
you too. Thanks a
you.
Love
lot.
you. Thank you so much.
Great information.
Love it.